Are you studying for the Florida real estate exam? If you are, this is the right channel. What I did was I took all the questions, all 1001 questions out of the back of the book, broke them all down 100 at a time, reading you the questions, so all you have to do is listen to how the questions are worded and the answers are to follow. Thank you for watching. This will conclude this section. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not adding any math problems. I will do a complete math recap once I get all 1001 questions done. Thanks again for stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, and let's get this test passed. Q&A Cram exam number 9. I'm going to read the answer, then the question, and then the answer. Guardian deed. Which deed would be considered a special purpose deed? The answer is guardian deed. Any of the above: an oral contract, a parole contract, an informal contract. Complete the sentence. An agreement between two parties for the purchase of a real estate must be, and the answer is any of the above. Disintermediation. What is the likely result if a federal government starts selling T-bills? Disintermediation. Discount rate. What term is used to refer to the rate that banks pay to the Federal Reserve? The answer is discount rate. 3. How many days does a buyer of a resale condominium have to cancel the agreement? 3 days. 15 days. How many days does the buyer of a new condominium have to cancel the agreement? 15 days. 10 days. How many days does the buyer of a new timeshare unit have to cancel the agreement? 10 days. 160. How many acres are contained in 1/4 of a section? 160. V and C. An appraiser using the direct capitalization technique would deduct which of the following from a PGI to obtain the EGI? V and C. Mortgage loan originators. Primary lenders originate loans and include all of the following except mortgage loan originators. An individual under investigation for violation Florida Statute 475. The DBPR will most likely issue a license to all the following individuals that otherwise qualify, except an individual under investigation for violating Florida Statute 475. Must be a Florida resident for at least the preceding 6 months. All the following are qualifications for a sales associate license, except must be a Florida resident for at least the preceding 6 months. Pay the appropriate fee, file the appropriate paperwork, and request a new copy. A sales associate misplaces their license. What must they do? Pay the appropriate fee, file the appropriate paperwork, and request a new copy. Buyer. A buyer makes an offer, and the deposit is placed into the broker's escrow account. At this point, to whom does the deposit belong? The answer is the buyer. $5,000. A broker has an escrow account for his personal or for his property management firm. How much of the broker's own money can be deposited to open and maintain the account? The answer is $5,000. Second-degree misdemeanor. Printing false information is considered which criminal offense? Second-degree misdemeanor. Transferring less than all rights to the property. To what term does subleasing refer? Transferring less than all rights to the property. Registered. Abel, Baker, and Charlie are officers in the ABC Realty Incorporation. Abel and Baker are actively involved in brokerage, while Charlie attends only quarterly meetings. What are the minimum requirements for Charlie? Registered. Tenancy in common. Adam, Bob, and Chris form a partnership to buy property. What would be the ideal form of ownership be from Chris's family's point of view? Tenancy in common. Heterogeneous. Which of the following is a characteristic of a real estate market? Heterogeneous. Legally, if the listed contract with the seller allows them to do this. A seller listed a house with a broker. The seller informs the broker that he has a change of heart and refuses to pay the broker's commission. The broker immediately files suit and places a lien on the seller's house. How has the broker acted? Legally, if the listed contract, the seller allows them to do this. Listing agreement. Where is the right of the broker to accept earnest money on behalf of the seller created? Listing agreement. Return the check to the buyer and ask that it be reissued to employing broker. A sales associate sells a listing of another broker. The buyer gives a check made payable to the sales associate. What should the sales associate do? Return the check to the buyer and ask that it be reissued to the employing broker. After all penalties and conditions have been fulfilled. A licensee is suspended for 3 years. After the 3 years have passed, their license will be active. Answer: after all penalties and conditions have been fulfilled. $13,000. A court awarded a judgment to Mr. and Mrs. Brown against the broker Smith for $30,000. That included $20,000 of actual damages and $10,000 of punitive damages. The bankruptcy court ordered Smith to pay $7,000. How much will the real estate recovery fund pay? $13,000. Constructive. Recording a mortgage is which form of notice? Constructive. Market or sales comparison approach. Which appraisal approach would carry the most weight in the appraiser's final decision when appraising a vacant lot? Market or sales comparison approach. It may be suspended or revoked. A Florida broker has an Alabama license suspended. How will this affect his Florida license? It may be suspended or revoked. Give it to her broker. A sales associate helps her aunt rent an apartment. To show her gratitude, the aunt gives her niece a $250 commission. What should the sales associate do with the $250? Give it to her broker. The markets in Florida and Oregon are unrelated, so price in one have no effect on price in the other. Concerning the characteristics of real estate, which statement is true? The markets in Florida and Oregon are unrelated, so prices in one have no effect on prices in the other. Sales associate Betty and broker Tony have both violated Florida Statute 475. Sales associate Betty, who works with broker Sam, went on vacation to Key West for 2 weeks. While there, she ran into 3 couples from New Jersey who were interested in buying waterfront condos. Betty sold condos to all 3 couples. Being that she was from out of town, she approached broker Tony, who ran the deal through his office. In appreciation for Betty's efforts, broker Tony paid Betty $15,000. Which statement applies? Sales associate Betty and broker Tony have both violated Florida Statute 475. Receiver. In the event of foreclosure of an income-producing property, who may collect rents? Receiver. When the DBPR receives the form and fee. An involuntarily inactive sales associate sends in a renewal along with the required fees and the change of statute form. When will their license be considered active? When the DBPR receives the form and fees. At least 181 days. To be eligible to receive VA mortgage benefits, how long must a veteran who was in the military in 1977 have served at least 181 days. Legal description. What should a valid mortgage contain? Legal description. Limited partnership. Which of the following business structures incorporates limited as well as unlimited liabilities? Limited partnership. Within a reasonable period of time. Sales associate Sally sells a home. When should Sally's broker pay her commission? Within a reasonable period of time. Installments will be paid from the recovery fund as funds become available and paid in order the claims were made. What happens in a real estate recovery fund doesn't have enough funds to pay claims? Installments will be paid from the recovery fund as funds become available and paid in the order claims were made. The employing broker. From which of the following may a sales associate receive compensation, referral fees, or bonuses? The employing broker. Plat method. Which survey method should be used when there are record subdivisions? Plat method. Meets and bounds method. A property is described as follows. The point is the beginning is described as a cement statue. All the other points arrived at by angles and directions until you return to the point of beginning. Which method of legal description has been employed? Meets and bounds method. File the name with a division of real estate. What makes a broker do in order to open a brokerage firm under a trade name? File the name with a division of real estate. Blanket. What type of mortgage allows for several parcels of land to be placed as collateral for a mortgage? Blanket. Cash, securities, personal checks, or any medium of exchange that can be converted to cash. Which description best describes an earnest money deposit? Cash, securities, personal checks, or any medium of exchange that can be converted to cash. Blockbusting. A sales associate tells a customer that he should sell his home because of immigrants of a certain ethnic group. What is the term used to describe this situation? Blockbusting. Mortgage. What is the document entered into two parties which replace a lien on the property? Mortgage. A release clause. If a developer bought a large parcel of land and wanted to develop and sell off small parts of it, it would be advisable to have which clause in his mortgage? A release clause. Subordination Agreement. What term refers to a written contract, often used in conjunction with a mortgage refinance, in which a lender and property owner agrees to change in lien priority? Subordination Agreement. To ensure that the mortgagor is aware of their obligations. Why does a mortgagor need to execute a note or bond when a lender is making a loan? To ensure that the mortgagor is aware of those obligations. Trustor. When a deed or trust is involved, who signs the note? Trustor. FHA insures loans but does not guarantee them. Which statement is correct regarding the FHA loan program? FHA insures loans but does not guarantee them. 12 months from the date received. Electronic fingerprints are mandatory for all real estate associates and broker associates. For how long is the fingerprints be retained? 12 months from the date received. Acceleration. Which clause in the mortgage benefits the lender? Acceleration. The lender may seek a deficiency judgment. Jack defaulted on his mortgage payment. The lender instituted foreclosure proceedings. If the foreclosure sale does not bring enough to cover the debt, what is the impact to the lender? The lender may seek a deficiency judgment. Novation, which term refers to substitution of a debtor or a creditor for another. Novation. Provides mortgage insurance coverage of owner-occupied 1 to 4 families homes. Which of the following applies to the FHA Section 203B loan program? Provides mortgage insurance coverage to owner-occupied 1 to 4 family homes. Federal Housing Administration. Which of the following acts like an insurance company? Federal Housing Administration. Conventional mortgage. Which type of mortgage typically requires a higher down payment and interest rate than other common loan types? Conventional mortgage. Cession. Which clause in a deed states that the seller is in possession of the property and has a legal right to convey the property? Cession. The trustor gives a promissory note to the beneficiary. What happens in a title theory state that uses deeds of trust? The trustor gives a promissory note to the beneficiary. Estate as sufferance. All the following types of estates may be mortgaged except estate as sufferance. Mortgagee holds a lien on the property. In a lien theory state, what is the ownership status of a mortgagee? Mortgagee holds the lien on the property. Disintermediation. What is it called when investors put their money directly into real estate instead of into financial institutions? Disintermediation. 15%. Fannie Mae is selling an FHA mortgage with an interest rate of 14% at 92%, 8 points. What is the approximate yield for the new lender? 15%. Inducing owners to sell because of immigration of ethnic groups into a neighborhood. What does blockbusting refer? Inducing owners to sell because of migration of ethnic groups into the neighborhood. Reconveyance deed. What instrument must be recorded in order to convey a title back to the mortgagor in a deed of trust? Reconveyance deed. Mortgage payment. What is produced by applying the loan constant to the loan amount? Mortgage payment. The seller has a vendor's lien and may foreclose. A seller sold a home to a buyer for $50,000. The buyer made a cash down payment of $25,000. The balance of the purchase price was secured by a pledge of $25,000 in stock certificates. The buyer defaulted on the balance of the sales price and was pledged as security. Which statement is correct regarding the seller? The seller has a vendor's lien and may foreclose. The licensee must disclose their license status prior to entering into any serious negotiations. If a real estate licensee is involved in a personal real estate transaction, which of the following is correct? The licensee must disclose their license status prior to entering into any serious negotiations. This is an unlawful practice. A broker has a friend in Michigan who refers prospects from time to time. The broker reimburses the friend for any expenses but does not pay the friend a commission or referral fee. Which statement applies? This is an unlawful practice. Nothing, since there is still at least one active broker to run the business. 3 active licensees are partners in a real estate brokerage partnership. One of the brokers dies. What happens to the partnership? Nothing, since there is still at least one broker to run the business. Larceny. A sales associate leaves a broker's office and takes an original copy of a document from the broker's record. What is the action considered to be? Larceny. Make application on the proper form, attach no fee, make a copy of the current license and forward them to the Department of Reissue. A broker has an office at 250 North Orange Avenue, Orlando, in the Citrus Bank building. The bank must make extensive repairs, and the broker moves to 244 Orange Blossom Trail, Orlando. What should the broker do? Make application on proper form, attach no fee, make a copy of the current license and forward them to the department for a reissue. Under the circumstances, do nothing. A prospect steps into the broker's office and tells the broker that they want to buy property in the area called Everglades Estates. The broker informs the prospect that he does not have the property listed, but that he will take the prospect over to meet the owner. The owner tells the broker that he will not deal through real estate brokers. The next day, the owner contacts the prospect and a deal results. What may the broker do? Under the circumstances, do nothing. That each general partner be registered, at least one of whom is an active broker. Regarding limited partnerships as real estate brokers, there must be one or more general or one or more limited partners in order to qualify as a licensed real estate brokerage. What does the real estate license law also require in FAC 61J2-4.007? That each general partner be registered, at least one of whom is an active broker. Convert the securities into cash at the earliest practical time, and then deposit the proceeds immediately into an escrow account. A sales associate receives notable securities from the purchaser as earnest money. What should the broker do with these securities? Convert the securities into cash at the earliest practical time, and then deposit the proceeds immediately into an escrow account. The president must register as an active broker, and the director must register as a non-licensed registered person. A corporation for profit was formed for brokering real estate. A held a broker's license and became president. B and C financed 40% of the corporation, and each was made a director, who was to assume normal office duties and functions. D and E held broker associate license with prior brokerage corporations and were employed as a broker sales associate, which applied. The president must register as an active broker, and the director must register as a non-licensed registered person. Refund the $200 to the customer. A customer requested that a broker locate a rental for $500 per month. A broker requested $200 in upfront fees from the customer to pay for the time and effort while locating this type of property. The broker was able only to find a unit renting for $600 per month. What must the broker do? Refund the $200 to the customer. Sue the broker's estate. A sales associate procures a sale. The sales associate broker dies before receiving the commission from the sale. What may the sales associate do? Sue the broker's estate. Syndicate. 6 people organized a business to buy and sell real estate property. The title is to be held in a trust by a board of trustees or someone in a position of trust. They have been required to file a declaration of trust with the Secretary of State. What type of business is being formed? Syndicate. Any office at the broker's discretion. A broker has a main office and 8 branch offices. One of the sales associate, Maria, works out of several of the office but spends most of her time working out of the branch office number 5. From which office must Maria be licensed? Any office at the broker's discretion. 75%. Broker Sam sells a list of rental properties to a prospective tenant. Michelle on March 1st. Michelle looks at several properties on the list and then changes her mind about living in the city and decides to move back up north. On March 31st, Michelle requests a refund. How much of the refund will Sam have to give back to Michelle? 75%. There would be less effort to legally create and maintain the ownership form. Broker Bennett is trying to decide whether to operate as a sole proprietorship or charter as a corporation. Which of the following is the advantage of a sole proprietorship? There would be less effort to legally create and maintain the ownership form. When the seller requests it. When can a sales contract that is witnessed, executed, and acknowledged be recorded in the public record of the county in which the property is located? When the seller requests it. An individual broker or sales associate. In a civil action, who must be named as a defendant if money from a real estate recovery fund is sought? An individual broker or sales associate. $1.50. What is the annual amount charged to a sales associate in addition to renewal fees if the amount of the recovery fund drops below $500,000? $1.50. Providing Warmington is listed as a broker at Bennett's Development and all the commission paid to Smith comes from Warmington, there is no problem. Broker Warmington assigns sales associate Smith to work exclusively on Bennett's Development. Which statement applies? Provide Warmington is listed as a broker at Bennett's Development and all commission paid to Smith comes from Warmington, there is no problem. Either A or B. The applicant, the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. On behalf of which entity can Florida Real Estate Commission intervene? Answer is either A or B. The applicant, the defendant, the Department of Business or Professional Regulations. Broker Jones' license may be suspended since the DBPR is really not concerned with whether or not his sentence was withdrawn. Broker Jones was convicted of embezzlement of funds from the employer and was sentenced to 5 years in the state penitentiary. Since Broker Jones returned all of the embezzled funds, the sentence was withdrawn. Which is most correct? Broker Jones' license may be suspended since the DBPR is really not concerned with whether or not his sentence was withdrawn. 2 years. In order to collect from the Real Estate Recovery Fund, the claim must be filed within what period of time after the act or should have been discovered? The answer is 2 years.